Hey everybody, it's flu season and I work with children. So, I think I came on a little bit strong when I started the beginning band series, episode 00, when I just started talking about transposing versus non-transposing. And I said in the video that I really dislike transposing, the concept of transposing instruments, because no instrument is transposing. And I think that's still true. No instrument actually transposes. That's impossible. That's not how sound works. However, the classification does make sense. And that's the thing that I didn't quite get across. Although I disagree with its existence and I disagree with the concept behind it, it exists. And it exists everywhere. So first and foremost, my recommendation to you, if you're just starting out playing, learn both. Learn both. Don't just shun transposing because everyone uses it. For now, everyone does use it, and it's an expectation that you know how to read transposed. Trumpet, mellophone with French horn, you gotta know it. You gotta know how to read transposed. Saxophones, read transposed. Clarinet, read transposed. It makes sense. It really does. And this is why. Specifically, take a look at the woodwind family. Flutes, whatever. Clarinet, saxophone. Clarinet and the saxophone look a little bit more intimidating. They have a bit more buttons, especially the saxophones. They got a ton of buttons. Even though technically there's only about 6, 7, maybe 8, but they're big pads. And it can look a little intimidating. Especially as you move down the baritone and the bass sax and the contrabass sax. Oh my goodness, these things are huge and they look very, very complicated. They're not, but they look it. Now, let's take into account the fingering chart. When I was first learning to be a music educator, I thought that the alto sax had different fingerings than the tenor sax. Turns out I was completely wrong. The alto sax and the tenor sax have the same fingerings, but they read in different keys. The soprano sax and the tenor sax are in B flat. The alto sax and the baritone sax are in E flat. However, all of these use the same fingerings. And the fingerings are very similar to the fingerings being used in the clarinet. This was done for ease of transition. This means that if you played clarinet for a little while and you wanted to try saxophone, you would be able to pick up the saxophone faster because the combinations that you had learned for certain notes on the clarinet would match basically the combinations on the saxophone. The problem that I have with it is that they're in different keys. So what you've changed is reading the music. You've changed what you're reading so that the clarinet doesn't have to think as much when they change to saxophone. But at the same time, I'm a band director. I understand how crazy switching instruments can be based on the turmoil and the changing that my band has already faced in its beginning stages. I understand switching instruments is a pain. So anything that could help that was usually very welcome. They did this to a similar extent with the trumpet. In the past, brass bands were made up of mostly trumpeters. And when we started to realize we need more range, they started opening up new branches like the French horn, the mellophone, and the baritone. In order to get musicians, though, they didn't want anyone to feel like they had to reinvent the wheel when they were learning a new instrument. So, the trumpet transitions to the horn. The horn reads in F, but uses trumpet fingerings. So, in a B-flat trumpet, F is 1, what comes out is E-flat. But in an F horn, F is still 1 because that's the trumpet fingering, but what comes out is B flat. See where I'm going with this? So the trumpeters could transition easily to the horn without learning a new fingering set. It's the same fingering set, but now they sound in a different range. Same thing with baritone. Baritone now reads in treble clef or bass clef, but if it reads in treble clef, it reads in B flat, like the trumpet. So you can play with all your well-known trumpet fingerings. You're going to play in treble clef, but it sounds an octave or more below. This was a way to get a low brass from a trumpet section, making it so they could easily transition and not have to work too hard and learn new fingerings. I understand this. I understand why it exists. The tuba is a non-transposing instrument. The trombone is a non-transposing instrument. The euphonium is a non-transposing instrument. The baritone in bass clef is considered non-transposing. I understand it, but I disagree, because this idea of having transposing and non-transposing is getting a little annoying. And maybe that's my biggest qualm with it. It's frustrating. It's frustrating when I pick up trumpet music and I have to sit there and like mentally retranspose it so I can play it as a tuba player. Imagine, if you will, before you lay down your criticisms, a world where all instruments are non-transposing. Every single one. What you see is what comes out of the instrument, and that's it. You could pick up any piece of music, a piano score, and play it on trumpet. You could pick up a cello part and play it on the French horn. You can still do that, of course. You can still do that right now, but in some cases it takes a lot of extra skill, some extra training, a lot of extra time, a lot of extra patience. A lot of people wait around for publishers to publish the Star Wars themes in B-flat trumpet. Why? Why? If you have the Star Wars themes, say in a piano score, you can play them. If everything is treated as non-transposing. You want ease of playing? Okay, fine. The B-flat clarinet will have similar fingerings to the soprano saxophone and the tenor saxophone. Fine. The E-flat clarinet will have similar fingerings to the alto saxophone and the baritone saxophone. Fine. Let's see here. A B-flat trumpet has the same fingerings as a B-flat tuba. A C trumpet has the same fingerings as a C tuba. Great. An F horn will have similar fingerings to the B-flat instruments. You may have to make some small adjustments, but they're pretty darn close when you think about it, because B-flat and F are related in the harmonic series. Okay, great. Trombone, slide positions. Okay, that's your own ballpark there, buddy. Problem solved. And really, we wouldn't have to shift that much. But now, the big challenge is facing the tradition, facing all these other musicians, some of them my family members, that have just never stepped back and really thought about it. And maybe that's it. Maybe that's the problem that I have with the whole thing. It's just accepted. It's too late. You can't fix it. Too much at stake, or too many people play this way. Too many teachers teach this way. Too many composers write this way. So to fight it would be impossible. I'm not trying to fight it. I'm trying to have people open their eyes to the possibility of reading everything as non-transposed. Just to the possibility of it. We don't have to go down the rabbit hole 100% committed. So I'm going to draw this little tidbit to a close. I wanted to at least put it out there that I've done more research, I have a higher understanding of why this might exist, and I am less angry at it. I'm less frustrated with it because now I have a context to put it inside of. I have a framework where it can exist, and I can still disagree with it. That's okay. It's kind of my prerogative. But I understand it more. It doesn't feel like this arbitrary, we used it to save ink. Ugh. No, there's a real reason for it, and that's fine. You can have that reason. Ease of transition is a pretty good reason. But I wanted to end this with some advice. If you've seen the previous videos already, you may be charging off to the crusades of saying, non-transposing instruments for everyone. I highly recommend not doing that. And that is because composers, teachers across the country, across the world, write their music, teach their music with the expectation that you read transposing. And I don't want you to get stuck. Oh, you listen to some fanatic online and blah, now you can't read my music. Best advice? Learn both. Learn how to read what I would refer to as traditional style, which is transposing for those instruments that are considered transposing. And then you can learn concert pitch style, which is non-transposing. What you see is what you get. When I arrange parts, when I play stuff for one-man band, or when I write stuff for my music videos, I write it all in concert pitch because I'm looking at an entire score. In order to see how the parts all interact, I don't want to be having transpose on the spot all the time. So I write it all in concert pitch, so I learn everything in concert pitch. But that's me. If you're in an ensemble, if you're in a band, really, you should learn transposing, at least for now. This may catch on, and it might not. It could fizzle and destroy itself. But I want you to be aware of the possibility. Just be aware of it. Be aware of the world behind the curtain. Be aware that there are two ways to read this. It's just that one way is much more accepted than the other right now. It might change. Learn both. Don't just shun transposing because a ton of people use it, and it is considered the standard. It's the standard by which we are expected to play. So, before you get your torches and pitchforks, I did say, learn transposed. But, don't forget about the other way. I hope that helps clear a few things up. The next couple of videos are going to be more warm-ups, and I'm going to start working with some woodwinds, and oh yeah, a specific video on buzzing and how to build that sound inside the brass instrument. So, have a wonderful day, keep practicing, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.